Good evening, everybody. This is Brother Ed with American Stealth and the news you can use. The first thing I want to start off with is this. If you have not seen the Netflix series Containment, it's basically a mini-series. There's only one season. And I think there was only one season because it is likely that the people who were viewing it were more than likely not able to handle more than one season. Most people couldn't handle just the one. I strongly advise everyone who is listening to me at this time or at any time in the future, if you have Netflix, see that series. It will give you a very realistic idea of what is going on in China right now and what we could all face globally. I hope and pray that it doesn't get to that point anywhere else in this world. I wish it hadn't gotten that way in China, but it could. And this will be a good way to know how to prepare yourselves, because it'll be a good way to find out what we could very well be in for. I find it odd that President Xi Jinping of China has either left his country or is hiding himself away from the coronavirus, one or the other. The situation, as we know, is much worse than the Chinese authorities have told us. He has not been seen at all at any of his regularly scheduled media appearances for several days. Let your mind go where it's going to go with that one. 3 cruise ships now in Asia carrying 9,600 passengers are in quarantine. At least 120 of those on board have confirmed cases of coronavirus. While all passengers are locked in their cabins unless they get sick. Or maybe what's going to happen after they get sick, I don't know. They may keep them there. I don't know. Yesterday was declared, it's not yesterday, day before yesterday actually, was declared the deadliest day in Chinese history. There are reports surfacing that SARS was genetically altered to be mixed with HIV and Ebola as a bioweapon and set loose in China to infect the whole world. This could be true, as HIV antiviral, antiretroviral, and protease inhibitors are being suspected at this time to be effective in fighting corona. Now, there are those, not going to mention any names because I'm not a basher of YouTubers, I'm a YouTuber myself, but there are people saying that this is something that was not biologically altered, that it is something that came out of the permafrost of Antarctica as the ice melted and what have you. Personally, this is just my own personal theory. I do believe that it is possible that it started out in that way. It's possible. But it is just as likely that after something like that happened, someone got a hold of this virus and genetically altered it to make it a bioweapon. Which one of those happened, I don't know. But I find it kind of suspect that medical science is saying that these HIV drugs could be effective in controlling coronavirus. Well, it's not anything even remotely related to HIV unless there was some genetic alteration done. Then it would make sense that these medications would be capable of controlling this virus to some extent. So, again, just take your mind let your mind go where it's going to go. with that. But it makes sense if this was genetically altered and part of its component was spliced, with HIV, then of course the HIV drugs are going to have some kind of an effect in helping. Makes sense. Now the Ebola part, let's hope and pray that it wasn't spliced with Ebola as well, because that's going to, whoa. Let's just say at this point, the death rate is about 16%. I dread the thought of what it could become when it mutates to second generation. Chinese insider leaks new information. Just one crematorium is cremating 100 people a day. Very likely, all of their crematoriums are cremating 100 people a day. No one gets a burial. Everyone is taken directly to a crematorium upon death. All of this since 1/28, this January 28th of this year. Taiwan Times reports Chinese officials inadvertently released the real numbers surrounding the outbreak. 154,023 people in China infected, 269 sent home after treatment, and 24,589 confirmed dead as a result of this NCOV coronavirus. This is considerably higher than what China is reporting, and this slip-up was made twice. The numbers increase daily, and the death rate stands at 1 in 6. That's about 16 people out of 100 are dying from this virus. Now, how is this going to affect Chinese manufacturing? How will it affect the United States and the rest of the world? Well, that's a very good question. It is entirely possible that Chinese manufacturing could at some point soon come to a complete stop. And if it does, then that means all of the goods that are coming in from China on a regular basis likely will stop coming in. So those of us who feel that they need to be stopped coming in already will at some point likely see that happen, but it's probably going to be too little, too late. What to say? I don't, watch Containment. Watch that series. If you don't have Netflix, get it. Because it's very realistic. We'll just put it that way. If you can't handle the realism, don't watch it. But if you can, you need to. Again, I would have to remind everyone that if your lights go out for a prolonged period of time, that's a good indicator at this point that it might be time to go ahead and leave for somewhere else, somewhere safer, somewhere away from people. Definitely don't go anywhere that you do not have to go. And if you go anywhere where you're going to be around a lot of people, wear one of those welder masks, at least, if nothing else, and definitely wear gloves. Just protect yourself as best as you can. Keep your hands clean. Keep your kitchen and bathroom, anything you're going to be touching inside your house, keep it clean. I would even suggest cleaning your doorknobs outside and your mailbox, because you got a mailman coming and touching your mailbox. You don't know where he's been, who he's been around. Now, in the event that your water stops running and you can't get a hold of anybody at the water company, or even with reference to the electric company or the gas company, and you can't get anybody to answer the phone, That's a dead giveaway that there's probably not enough people there, if anybody there, to answer the phones, because they're probably either sick or they're dying or they're dead. Just keep in mind, when you start losing utilities and you can't get hold of anyone at the utility company, at that point it is definitely time to get the hell out of Dodge. Because it's, like I said, it's likely there's nobody there to answer the phone because they're either sick or they're sick, dying, or they're dead. Also, something that you need to be aware of, because it's probably going to be used, and likely because they're going to expect that most people are not going to know what it means. If you hear the words cordons or cordon sanitaire, that means health quarantine. That's Latin for health quarantine. You know how the medical profession likes to use Latin for medical terms. If you hear anybody say that they are instituting a cordon sanitaire, remember what I'm telling you. That's Latin for health quarantine. That means you get the hell out right then, if you hear that, because your city or your community is going under lockdown. And they'll make sure, they'll do whatever they have to do to make sure nobody gets in and nobody gets out. Watch Containment. Watch it. I'm serious. What they're saying is going on in China probably is. And it could happen here. Till next time, be at peace. Be in prayer. Be prepared. And pray some more. Bro Red the Red, signing out.